So today I thought it'd be nice to do a little insect. So I've got a watercolor pencil here and I've got some cold press watercolor paper and I've taped it down to the page. Now I'm using a watercolor pencil because I know that when I add my watercolor paints it will sort of merge into the background, and I'm going to be using greens and yellows and beiges today, so I've chosen the green watercolor pencil. So drawing out this insect here and doing the wings, so you might want to draw one out from your imagination, or you may want to have a look and see whether you can find an image that you like, or you can copy this insect that I'm doing here. I don't tend to do definite lines. I sort of do this side to side motion with the pencil, and it just means that you have a sort of raggedy kind of edging to those wings. So I'm just adding some foliage to the page. I wanted to actually frame the insect with some leaves, so I'm just penciling those in just so I know where they're going to be. You might want to do your watercolor freehand and without penciling this in first. So I've come to the left side of the page and just completing very similar leaf shapes that I've done on the right side. So I have grabbed my Kuretake paints and I'm using the 24 colour set, the Art Nouveau set, and the colours I'm going to use today are green grey, I've got the pea green and a bit of green gold and flax beige. So those are the colours I'm going to use, and I'm just dropping in that paint, and I want the paint to merge into each other. So I don't want blocks of colour, I want these wings to sort of like disperse. So they start strong on the edges and then come into each other, the different colours. So adding some more detail here and just filling in those wings again, grabbing some water, grabbing my paint and changing the colour as we move away from the centre of the body. So the colour I'm using there is a Venetian Ready Brown, and I've added a bit of green to that, and I'm just adding some more of the paint to the outer edges, and then that makes the body look as though it's sort of a rounded shape. And again doing the same to that top part of the body and the head, a darker colour on that head, and then the antennae and the feet for the insect. So just filling that in. I've got a very small brush and just utilising that. And then I've just grabbed the green, so using the green grey, and I'm doing a raggedy kind of motion with my brush to create these lovely leaves. So I'm going to do a couple of layers of paint on these leaves. So I'm starting off and doing the base, and I'm just sort of creating this raggedy kind of edge to those leaves, bringing the paint down and continuing. So it's a lot of series of like little tiny lines, and then the middle just painting that in and filling it in as I go. So continuing down the page, because we need to fill all of these in with a lovely colour. I'm just using the one colour, but you may choose to add different colours into that foliage. What I am going to do once the paint is dry, I'm going to add another layer of paint, so you'll still have the background, but then there'll be a little bit more detail on top. So continuing and doing the bottom lot of leaves there and filling it all in again and making sure that's all done, and then doing the left hand side and coming down there. So the paint is now dry and I'm now going over again. So just adding that little bit more detail on top. So it just deepens that page, just makes things look a little bit more natural by having some layers on. So that's all nice and dry, and I'm going back to a pencil. You could use your watercolor pencils, or you could grab a normal pencil, and I just want to put some veins into the wings of this insect and also sort of darken the edges of the body and make it a little bit more rounder looking, so it doesn't look flat. It makes the body look as though it's popping up a little bit more 3D. So just adding some dimension there and completing that. And then I'm just deepening some of that colour onto the insect's legs, onto the antenna and the head, and just deepening those colours and sort of tidying up any of the lines that I felt weren't right when I put the paint down. Pencil is a great thing for tidying up your edges, and I use it quite a lot, either a pencil or a pen. If you've got raggedy edges that you don't want, I mean, I've said on this that there's lots of raggedy edges and I do want them, but if you don't want some of them, you go over with a pencil and it neatens all that up for you. So I'm sort of looking at the paint on the wings and utilising that as the veins as I put these veins on. So sort of utilising where those colours have sort of touched each other, but maybe not merged as much as I wanted. So completing that and putting some more lines in here and there. You may want to do this with a black fine liner, that would look good as well. I've chosen pencil just because it gives a bit of a softer look. And then I looked at the foliage and I thought, I want to just continue penciling in. I love the way the pencils feel when you're colouring in. I just think it's a really nice sensation. So I just thought I'll add some more detail to that leaf edge, and that just keeps me happy and in the moment. You know, I just don't want this picture to end. I'm just enjoying myself, so just continuing with adding some of that detail. So now I've got some white paint here and I'm just adding some little dots on to my insect, and then I've heated up the tape and I'm just peeling it away. And then I had a little bit of an accident. I pulled it away, and if you can see on the right hand side, I did actually rip my page, and it'll pop up now. See how it popped up? And I was going to hide it, but I thought, well, it is what it is. We all have these incidents. And then I just cut some foliage out of the garden and thought it looked nice putting it around the insect there. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I know I really have, and thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you again soon. Maybe you'll like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll come straight back to you. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.